Hi angels, I'm Alicia Anana, and I have insomnia. With over 500,000 cases of insomnia reported each year, I'm pretty sure you've had experience with this too. Insomnia is difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep at night. Up here in the north, we have 24 hours of either light or dark. There's very little in between. We only had, I think, about a month of twilight, which was actually the most beautiful purple skies you will ever see, going from full darkness into full light. Seeing that full light was astonishing. It was something that my eyes just soaked right up and really possibly damaged them because I was not wearing sunglasses, and we are under direct UV right now as there's a giant hole in the ozone layer. So wear sunscreen. Even when I was living in the South, my sleep patterns would be easily disrupted, but now they're even more easily disrupted by things like going past an open window, because if it's 9 o'clock at night, it will look as though it's noon and my body will readjust. Or if I were to take a hike in the middle of the day one day, the direct sunlight would disrupt my sleep schedule so much that it would take 2 to 3 days to get back to normal. So dealing with insomnia is something that I've had to work with, and I have a lot of advice. I do want to note I'm not a doctor, I am not a PA, I'm not even a nurse, I'm in no way a medical practitioner, and so this is all just advice that I've collected from places and it works for me. Not all of it may work for you, and so I really do recommend trying things out and tailoring it to how you live your life. First, I want to talk about why good sleep is important. I remember back in my 20s not really caring about good sleep, eschewing it in as many ways as possible. I would stay up for days on end. I would play video games until early morning and then be at work about 4 hours later. There were so many ways that I just didn't care about sleep hygiene. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm realizing how important it is, and I want to share that with everybody because it's so good for so many things. Well, 3 main things. One of them is our mental health. A regular sleep schedule is one of the first things that I was advised to do when I was starting to face my mental health challenges. It definitely has a huge bearing. For mental health, the 2 things that have really helped me the most have been exercise and sleep. Sleep is involved in the healing processes around the heart and blood vessels. So a lack of good sleep has been tied to things like heart disease, stroke, and diabetes, which nobody really wants to go through those things. So we can prevent it by getting good sleep. Then amazing. I like to know that my body is healing while I'm sleeping, so even when I do something stupid like overwork at the gym or hit myself in the head, I know that good sleep is going to help me heal. Sleep is also tied to what's called mental acuity. This is something that I struggle with because I love the feeling when I'm feeling really mentally prepared for the day. This isn't just health. This is things like concentration, memory, and focus. You know that great feeling that you get after a good night's sleep? That's mental acuity. All right, so let's get to the list of things. The first piece of advice that I have is to sleep in total darkness. When it's 100% darkness, 24 hours a day, that wasn't so hard, but now that it's 24 hours a day of light, it's really important that I close the shutters in my room and that I sleep with a sleeping mask. These 2 things help really reduce the incidence of light. I also have to be careful about leaving my room partway through the evening, like go to the bathroom, which route I take to avoid open windows. The next thing is to turn off all the electronics. This one is a struggle for me. I had a bad habit when I was in the South and I had cell phone reception, scrolling through my phone, going over social media, checking my emails, reading books, and that habit did carry through when I moved up here to the North, to the extent that I would read books that I had saved on my phone. That's really important to stop. Turning off all screens, that's TV screens and computer screens and your cell phone screens. Those are all really important for making sure that you're getting a good night's sleep. It has to do with how your brain sees the light. Same thing with sleeping in complete darkness. One thing I remember being told by a doctor is sex, sleep, and sick. Those are the only 3 things that you can use your bed for. I am so guilty of using my bed for something else. I will use my bed as a desk. It is so important to remember that our beds are not desks. Reduce the number of naps that you take during the day. This is a challenge for me also. I am a napping queen. I love a good siesta. I grew up with a family that napped. Now it's a big challenge to not nap constantly. Napping will change your body's internal clock so that it's much harder for you to get the necessary 8 hours or 7 hours or 9 hours, depending on who you are, of required sleep in the night. Okay, exercise. I hate it too. Choose some exercise that really fits within your abilities and your personal goals. Perform them at the same time every day so that your body really gets to know that there's a clock. Thinking about our internal clocks is really going to help us have that set time that our body says now is time for sleep. So if now is time for exercise, make sure that you do that every day. You don't have to go completely nuts every day. It could just be walking. I walk right now. Getting in half an hour of walking time, an hour of walking time, just helps. Mindfulness is a skill that is really difficult to acquire, but it's been one that has helped me with so many things. And meditation is one of those aspects of life that everybody, including myself, says, oh, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to set aside this time to meditate. Actually doing it is very hard to prioritize. But learning to let thoughts and feelings pass by without judgment is an amazing way to lure yourself into sleep, to let your mind ease into sleep, so that you can more easily deal with things like anxiety, which is one of my challenges when it comes to falling asleep easily. Going back to the clock idea, taking it easy on caffeine. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't drink caffeine after noon. Find the time that works for you to really, cut off the caffeine usage, replace it with lots of water, really nourish your body. I don't want to say you have to stop drinking caffeine. That seems very extreme. I love espresso, I love matcha, I love tea, and telling me that I can't have any is not going to be productive. But maybe finding where it is in the day that it starts disrupting your sleep is really useful. So if noon is a good starting point for you, try having coffee and tea just in the morning and not having any sodas or anything like that in the evening. There are some supplements that can help you build your clock, build your routine, and assist with sleep. It's really important that if you start taking supplements, you do talk to your doctor. The 2 that I'm going to recommend are the 2 that are most used up here in the north because of the 24 hours of daylight and 24 hours of sunlight. In the south, they'd probably be useful just as like getting yourself into the routine, teaching your body how to respond to the timings, then easing off them so that you're not feeling as though you need those medications to keep going, because they are ultimately medications. The first one is vitamin D. I take mine with calcium. It's a drink. It tastes like blueberry, chalky blueberry. It's horrible, but I do that every morning to help my body wake up and receive sunlight. Like I'm a plant. We're all kind of like plants in that way. Then at night, I'll take melatonin. About half an hour before I want to go to bed, I'll take about 10 milligrams. And this is an amount that works for me. Everybody's different. Everybody's got the ways that their body responds and reacts to different chemical inputs. And that is essentially what taking a supplement is. So see if it's something that might work for you. See if it's something that can help set your clock, but don't depend on it and don't rely on it. Do ease off of them so that you can start getting, daily sources of vitamin D from sunlight or food, whole food. The melatonin, your body does create its own melatonin, so you don't necessarily need the supplement for the long term. All of this advice has been centered around the basic idea that having a routine, having that clock, is going to be what really gets your body ready for sleep and able to sleep through the night. So on an ideal day, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd take some vitamin D. I would go for a walk after lunch. And then when I'm about ready for bed, I would sit down and I'd journal, meditate, and read from an actual book for about half an hour to an hour, depending on how into the book I am. before going to sleep, and I take the melatonin in there. This routine teaches my body that it is on a clock and that it does have a system, and so I'll start getting tired even if I don't follow the routine. That my body will just be like, nope, now is time for sleep. I'll start feeling energized after lunch because it's like, nope, now it's time for your walk. It really is amazing how quickly the body learns these routines. Ultimately, you may have to go see your doctor to find out if there's any underlying reasons why you might be having trouble sleeping, or to build a routine that is very specific to you if just trying to workshop these things yourself doesn't quite cut it. I do have sleep disturbances due to a whole bunch of reasons, one of them being PTSD. And getting my diagnosis for that was really helpful for helping me figure out how I need to move forward with my sleep disruptions. So do seek out medical advice if you really are having a challenge with this. So that's my quick video on insomnia and lessons from the north on how to beat it. Thank you, Angel, for coming along for this, my second video. And I'm so glad that we're getting to be such good friends. I hope that today you'll be the best you that you can be right now.